So there was no excess, there was no, you know, neurotic need, fanatical need, or desire, or craving, or ambition for greatness. And sure, even in tribal communities, there were kings, and there were those who allowed jealousies and their envious impulses to overcome them and drive their actions toward uh, using fear as a way to control others, as a way to dominate others. There was that. There's that. There's that. There's that. But that has been basically the driving force behind creating all of what you see. This whole society is built from desire, out of desire, from the drive of ambition, greed, jealousies, envious feelings. Where do those feelings come from? Those feelings come from our attachments, our latching on, leeching on to finding our identity, or to placing our identity in things that are not us, that are not you. If you have a problem, you see, happens with people who have a problem with being who they are. If they look at themselves and they don't like what they see, then they try to re-identify themselves with other things. But in order to hold on to that identity, that false identity, they become possessive. And so they seek to obtain and possess others and other things. And so feelings of envy and jealousy, greed, ambition, all those feelings come up. They start to stir up because the person has not accepted themselves for who they are. And so this whole world, we're all like slaves, like ants running around, programmed to fear that if we don't do it, we'll lose our identity. And the matter of the fact is, as someone who was raised in this society, in this way of being, in this world, I don't know how to be the natural man. I would be completely lost if you stuck me in a jungle somewhere. I wouldn't know what plants to eat, what plants not to eat. I wouldn't know how to form my own weapons and hunt, and then what to do with that prey so that I could not misuse it, so that I could value the life that was given and use it in order to sustain my well-being in a harmonious way with nature. It would take a lot of learning. I would have to learn how to form weapons that were useful. It would take a lot of learning that really one is supposed to learn from when they're young. Those are the real traditions. The real traditions are the traditions of nature. But man has gone astray and has left the way of nature and has made up a fiction, some fiction that we live in now, that we're imprisoned by. We're imprisoned by a fiction. Do you really believe in all of the brands? And that, isn't it funny that they're called brands? Why are they called brands? Because when you work for these companies, you're branded. That means you're owned. You're like cattle. You're owned. They own you. You're branded. And you lost your identity. You completely lose your identity. Thinking that you can place your value in a system that only seeks to consume without any regard for the natural way of being. With all of its dogmas. And the whole thing is a ritual. You get up in the morning, you have whatever breakfast or whatever, you get up, you go to this place of work, and you go and you pretend. And you do what they want you to do, just so that you can be allowed to go home, quote unquote home, to the little box that you live in, so that you can what? Spend some time talking to some friends, watch TV, and then the communication between you and your friends is not real. It's not real communication. You're not saying anything real. You're talking about all of the nonsense that you have to go through in order to make ends meet, in order to live, in order to just be able to feed yourself and your family. And there's no denying it. We have to suffer. This world that we've created makes us suffer. And you don't have to be part of the 99%. The part of the 1%, they're suffering too, actually. The 1%, they're still slaves. They're slaves. They may be the slave masters, let's say. But they're still slaves. Because they have to maintain the system in order to have an identity. And so all of mankind doesn't even realize what it means to be human.